I think it's time we stop asking ourselves, is this going to be the Marvel movie that fails? Because it's apparent they're not going to. Not only has Marvel become a brand in and of itself, but they've also demonstrated the ability to weave complex storylines into these movies, making them more than just the standard good versus evil stories that many would expect from comic book movies, which is exactly what they've done with Captain America Civil War, a 2.5-hour geopolitical thriller set in the Marvel Universe, and the damn thing works so well that you can almost mistake it for one of the best James Bond or Jason Bourne movies. Directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, Civil War takes place approximately 1 year after the events of Sokovia, where, in case you might not remember, Ultron tried to wipe out humanity by dropping a city on the planet, and the Avengers were the only ones that could stop him. Without getting too spoiler heavy, we find that the events of the last few movies have not gone unnoticed, and after the Wakandan embassy in Lagos, Nigeria, is accidentally destroyed by Scarlet Witch, the governments of pretty much every major country, and General Thunderbolt Ross, this time played by actor William Hurt, want to have some oversight over the Avengers, with Tony Stark being for the idea and Steve Rogers being against it. At the signing of the Sokovia Accords, a terrorist bombing by a shadowy figure behind the scenes, played by Dan Brule, is blamed on the Winter Soldier, played by Sebastian Stan. This sets off a chain of events which eventually pits the Avengers against each other. Everything in the film builds to the eventual outcome, and whereas one would think it would feel contrived, it yet comes off as the climax that the film has rightfully been building towards. One would think that it would be impossible to give this many characters adequate screen time, and yet none of them feel shortchanged, and all of them feel fully fleshed out in this context. Nobody feels as if they are wedged into the script for no reason, and none of the characters overstay their welcome, something which 8 years of preceding films has allowed Marvel to do. Even the characters who we are seeing for the first time feel as if they belong here. That's a testament to Joe and Anthony Russo's directorial skills, and Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely's ability to balance all these different characters on screen. Whereas the previous solo movies and the two Avengers movies were showing the team coming together, they're now being split apart. Imagine if the Beatles just didn't drift apart over the years, but had an all-out brawl on stage one night. The breakout star of the film has to be Chadwick Boseman, who plays T'Challa, aka the Black Panther. Boseman has a commanding presence on screen that grabs the audience's attention in every scene he's in. You don't doubt for a second that he's the king of an entire nation, as he carries himself with an air of dignity and royalty that a king would have. And with Civil War serving as a Black Panther origin story, it's going to be interesting to see just where a Black Panther solo movie goes from here. With all the great individual performances in a film, it's easy to see how the whole is infinitely greater than the sum of its parts. And even though this is really a third Avengers movie, make no mistake, Captain America is still the star, and he never once feels drowned out of his own film. But instead of talking about the individual characters and actor performances, we have to ask the question of why. Why does this work when other films in this genre clearly don't? And there's a good reason for that. Anytime you build something, you have to start with a very basic idea first, and that's building a solid foundation. Captain America Civil War didn't happen by accident. It's the result that stems from laying the first brick in 2008, when we were introduced to Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man and Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. A movie like this is only possible because we care about these characters, all of which we have come to know over the last 8 years. Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, the Winter Soldier, and even Ant-Man. We've spent time with each character, which is why even though the throwdown on screen looks great, as an audience member, you don't cheer when one of them goes down.
Phrasing?
And even though the marketing and advertising campaigns have been telling us to choose sides, it's not an easy thing to do, nor do we want to do it. We don't want to choose sides because there's so much more at stake here than just ideology. These are people that are more than just teammates and superheroes. They're a family, and even though a family might have its disagreements, they always look out for each other. They're not doing what they're doing because they want to, but because they have to. And if there were any other choice, they wouldn't. You don't want to see these characters like this because we've grown to know them over 8 years. This, above all else, is why Marvel is where they are. And it's why they're going to stay there. The one thing that's difficult to do with a movie like this is to give it a final rating. I can't help but think that Captain America the Winter Soldier was a better film, just barely, but that Civil War may be one of the best Marvel movies. That no doubt sounds contradictory. This is definitely the movie we deserved after Age of Ultron, and it brings the arc full circle. It's a movie that leaves you with a feeling of resolution, but yet at the same time there's an undercurrent of sadness to it, because there's a feeling that things just won't be the same anymore. Some old friends say goodbye, but we make some new ones along the way. Captain America Civil War gets 5 out of 6 Chewbaccas. That's it for now. See you next time.
Yeah, I know the clock is ticking, but the Nets are gonna kick in. My pilot light shining, pilot light shining, pilot light shining bright.
So you're probably wondering what I think of Spider-Man in the movie. I think the way they brought him in was great, and that Tom Holland was magnificent as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And even though I have my doubts about Marissa Tomei, but the younger and quite frankly hotter version of Aunt May works in this context. Walking away from this one, I can say something that I haven't said in a long time, and that's I'm actually looking forward to a Spider-Man movie. See you next time.